Hey guys, it's Jen. Welcome back to my channel. I'm so glad you're here today. And as I am in training now for the Star Wars Half Marathon, it is time again for us to start Run Day Monday. And you're not gonna wanna miss this one. So today's Run Day Monday, I want to give you guys a quick training update, and I'm also going to be talking to you about a question I get all the time, which is what do I listen to when I run and how do I fuel for my long runs? So first of all, quick training update. I am actually training for 2 back-to-back race weekends, which is not the smartest idea I've ever had, but that's okay. I'm running the Star Wars race and then and that's April 7th, I believe. And then the following weekend, I'm running the Villa to Villa, which is a relay that starts in North Carolina and it's 75 miles and we end up in South Carolina. And I am doing that in a van with 5 other crazy women. And I'm excited and a little terrified about that race. Less terrified and more excited about Star Wars because this is, after all, my fourth year to run Star Wars. Love this race. It will be with my good friend Sarah and my friend Cindy. They ran Star Wars with me last year. I'll put a link right here and also in the description below to those vlogs if you want to go back and kind of get to know them and catch up on that. But you know, it's a little odd when you go from training for one race right into the next. But the truth is that's been this year for me because I did Disneyland Paris in September. Then I ran a 10K over the summer, then I did the 10K and the half marathon in January, and now I'm doing this race. So I haven't had much of a break in between training cycles, and I'm really trying to listen to my body and not push too hard, but I am doing a lot of hill work because the Villa to Villa that I'm doing is a very hilly route, although it does have a net downhill, but I do need to be doing hills for that. And you know, hills, at the end of the day, I have a love-hate relationship with hills. They are so good for me, and they really do make me a stronger and better runner. So I'm happy to be doing it. I'm at about 6 miles right now on my long runs, and then I'm doing 2 to 3 during the week that range from 2 miles to 4 miles, just depending on the day and how I'm feeling and the route. I've also incorporated yoga for the first time, and I'm doing the 30-day yoga challenge with Adrian. And it did start in January. I've missed a lot because we were traveling and whatever. So now I think tomorrow I'm on day 23, and I am loving that. Yoga has always been a little elusive to me, and the yoga with Adrian on YouTube, and I'll put a link to it below if you're interested, has really helped me get past some of my fears about yoga, and I really am enjoying it. So I think it's a great program to follow, and I think it's augmenting my running well. I know a lot of you have recommended Sage Roundtree, and she does a lot of yoga for runners. So as soon as I'm done with this challenge, I'm going to kind of branch out and look more into yoga that is specifically for runners, because I think as far as core strength and all of that, this may be, you know, the kind of missing piece that I've been looking for in my training. It's been a little hard for me to get out there. The weather hasn't been great. We've had a lot of rain, but it's getting easier. My run yesterday actually felt really good. I don't know, I feel like my body is fighting me a little bit right now. And I don't know if that's hormonal or if it's my Hashimoto's flaring up. That typically is what that means. But, you know, just kind of mentally not letting that get me down and pushing through. Yesterday, for example, I only was gonna head out for 2 to 3 miles. And the whole first mile I wanted to quit. I mean, the whole first mile. And then something kind of broke free, a good song came on, and I just kind of went with it, and I felt completely normal. But that's been the first time I felt completely normal in a run, really since after the race in January. So, you know, the ebb and flow of how your body feels on any particular day with running. I've now been a runner for a decade, and I can tell you that's really normal, and there's no rhyme or reason to it. Like, you could do a 12-mile long run on Sunday and felt great, and go out to do a 2-mile long run or 2-mile run on Tuesday and just feel like death warmed up. And it's just kind of an unknown, and there's just a lot of different factors that can play in. So on any given day, I guess my word here is don't get too discouraged if all of a sudden you feel like, I mean, literally yesterday, the first mile, I felt like I'd never run before in my life. And that's a pretty common thing. And again, I've been running for over a decade, and I have, you know, something like 40 half marathons under my belt. So don't get discouraged if you feel that way. It's perfectly normal. So I want to get into what I listen to when I run. I have had this question so often on social media. You guys have reached out on Instagram, and I have a pretty regular rotation. There are a couple of podcasts that I love. Diz Runs, which I will put the link to his podcast below. I've actually been on his podcast. It's really great. He always interviews really interesting runners. I love the Be Our Guest podcast, and that's Mike Rahlman and those guys. They are awesome. Just really encouraging, happy, upbeat, lots of Disney news and that kind of thing. I also am listening to, and I can't remember the name of it, it's a DVC podcast that I like, and I'll put the link to that down below. I can't remember the name of it though. That's bad that I can't remember it. But podcasts are big for me, just for easy runs. But when it comes to a day when I'm really feeling like I need some encouragement, I am all about the music. I have been motivated by music really my entire life. I was a ballet dancer for years. I did tap, I did all of that. And music is very important to me, and it really helps boost my spirits and my energy. So I do have a running playlist that has a lot of Van Halen on it. It has a lot of Vampire Weekend on it. It has a lot of, you know, the Graceland album by Paul Simon I love to run to, a lot of old school stuff like that. It's got a lot of Blind Melon on it. I'm trying to think some of it. Fleetwood Mac, Queen. Oh my gosh, some of the Queen songs are so great to run to. ELO, Electric Light Orchestra, a lot of throwback stuff on my playlist. There is also a RunDisney training playlist. And I don't know if you guys knew this, but it's really fun too, because it's got a lot of music from The Descendants and High School Musical and things like that, and some really, really upbeat really upbeat music. And then the other thing that I like to listen to, and this is kind of embarrassing, but I love listening to Broadway music when I run. There is just something about, like yesterday, this is such an old lady admission, but like yesterday when I was really like discouraged, I put on the Spotify, they have a Broadway channel, and Shall We Dance came on, and it was so, that song just builds so beautifully, and the, you know, shall we dance, ba-dum-bum-bum, you know, that kind of waltz rhythm to it at my pace. I'm sorry that I just burst into song. If you're new, that's normal. But that kind of, there's a lot of Broadway music that is really inspiring. And one thing I'll do, especially on long runs, is I'll put on a whole soundtrack. The Newsies soundtrack is great for that. Les Mis is great for that. Wicked is great for that. And I will just listen from beginning to end. Now granted, some of those songs are ballads, so they don't all have like a driving rhythm, but they're all inspiring, and I love to listen to them. So it's always kind of fun to have a few soundtracks on there. And I feel like a soundtrack like takes me on a journey. If I'm going out for a 2 miles, not a long run, 2 hour long run, kind of listening to an hour and 15 minute long soundtrack. Hamilton is great for that. There's a story there, right? And it kind of engages a different part of your brain. And again, it's not all that it's, you know, it's not that kind of studio music. Or I should say like aerobic studio music. A lot of it is very complex pieces of music, but there's something about it that engages a different part of my brain, and I really, really love running to soundtracks. Okay, and by the way, all of these options, I might do 1 or 15 of them as I'm running, just depending upon the mood that I'm in. So that just might help you have a little bit of freedom. It doesn't always have to be the same thing. You can always stop and change it up. If you're doing a podcast, you need a little bit more energy, switch to a playlist. If the playlist isn't doing it, switch to Spotify, and just kind of lean into that and mix it up. That always makes it a little bit more fun. And then as far as how do I fuel on long runs, a lot of you have asked about gels and goos and, you know, all of these other things that you can use to fuel. And on long runs, and for me a long run is anything over 5 miles. If it's 5 miles or less, I'm not likely to take anything unless it's really hot, and then I will at least bring water. But 5 miles or more, I'm gonna bring my water in my Nathan Quick Draw water bottle, which is my go-to water bottle for years. I'll put a link below if you guys are interested. I love it because it has a little zipper pocket on the outside, and the zipper pocket on the outside is where I put my fuel. And this is very difficult to find fuel, and you're gonna wanna listen very carefully. Are you ready? Rice Krispie treats. I don't know why. I have tried Over the years, I think there is not a goo or a gel on the market. Blocks, jelly bean, Powerade, blah, 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 all the different things. Rice Krispie Treats give me the exact amount of sugar I need, the exact amount of simple carbs I need, and if I'm doing like a 10-mile long run, I will usually just pack one. I will eat half at about mile 4, and then I'll eat another half about mile 8, and it's just enough for me. Another go-to for me is some kind of a sweet candy, like maybe Lifesavers or something like that, just to suck on just when I get bored. It's kind of nice to have just that little bit of sugar. But years ago, I heard Jeff Galloway speak, I think it was at Marathon Weekend, and he was talking about fueling during your long runs and even during marathon training. And he was saying really all you need is simple sugar. So don't overthink it. Don't feel like you have to have some, you know, big nutritionally complex power gel that costs a lot of money. It can be any kind of candy you like. In my case, Rice Krispie Treats. It's just that perfect combination that just powers me through and gets me through to the end of my run. So that's it. So Run Day Monday, as we move forward, I'll be trying to take different topics and questions. If you guys have running questions for me, please put them in the comments below, because I'm not even really sure where we're gonna go with Run Day Monday yet. So the more information you give me, the more will inform kind of how we go through this training cycle. And if you're training for Star Wars, be sure and let me know. Where are you in your long run and all of that? So glad you guys were here today. I hope you're running happy. I hope you're having a great day, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.